a lot of people get it all wrong with the military, and they have this idea, and it's been disproven time and time and time again. Over and over has been disproven, but people still have this disillusion with the military. And I was watching some military general the other night, him saying, well, F equals MA. In other words, force equals mass times acceleration. Okay, there's that, that's a component. However, that's not the only component. And you can ask the United States. The United States knows better than anybody. And also Russia. We'll get into that in a second. But the United States knows more than anybody. That's not always the case. Look at Vietnam. Look at Iraq. Okay? It was even Afghanistan to some extent. It is very, very hard to occupy a country and to impose your will on a country. Just because you have a big military doesn't mean that you're going to win. It doesn't mean that. And, all these military generals are saying, oh, well, of course Russia's going to win. I mean, they could. Maybe. And maybe temporarily, but maybe not. It's very difficult to win a war that's not on your home turf. This is not football where it's like, oh, well, you're 55% more likely to win at home. No. In real war, you're like 90%. Maybe it depends on the circumstances, of course, but it's extremely high. You know the territory. You know your home. You have also the home spirit. The invader that's coming in is just taking orders from the guy at the top. In this case, it's Vladimir Putin. As Vladdy, as we called him in my main channel video. Vladdy is telling these guys to go in, and, they're following orders, like, okay. But they're also being asked to die for what cause? What cause are these Russian troops dying for? Really, what cause? Ukrainian troops, and Ukrainian people that are fighting against these Russians, yes, it's quite obvious of why they would die and why they would fight and why they would fight to the death and why they would fight harder than anybody. But the Russians are like, hey, man, Putin wants this shit. I'm just getting paid. Dude, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? And that's the thing. For a few deaths, okay, some of the troops are like, oh, this is kind of weird. Why are we dying? Oh, I knew that guy. Oh. But then as soon as it starts to get more and more and more and more bloody, it's going to be like, you start asking the question, why? Why? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth doing what we're doing? Is it really worth dying for? I think especially in the 21st century where, we're just not just obedient to whoever's our leader in the country. Maybe back 100 years ago where you really didn't have a lot of media, you really didn't know much. You just were like, oh, whatever the guy at the top says to do, that must be good for me and my family, so we got to do it. Not nowadays. Nowadays, too many people are educated. And also, here's the thing, educated in the course of human history. And no, human history. We know why we shouldn't just follow the guy at the top. Wait a second. Just because this guy wants to do it doesn't mean it's the best interest for me or my family or my country. Like, this guy is just being greedy and he's just insecure about his place in the world and has inferiority complex. That's what's going on. It's only a matter of time before the Russian troops start to realize that completely, fully, and start to be like, yo, man, like, why? What's the point? What's really the point of this? Is it worth dying for? Is it worth never to see my family again and leaving my children? These guys aren't 18 years old, these Russian troops. They're in their 20s, 30s, and they have family. They have a son, a daughter, a wife, a loved one at home. And they're not just like, yes, there's nothing better to do. The whole point is that it's really hard to win on the offensive in war when the other side is on the defensive and they have home field advantage. I'm just thinking back. Think back to the American Revolution. You can ask the Brits, right? How did that work out? So really, people have to stop writing off the Ukrainians. Okay? I'm not writing them off at all. I think they have probably a better chance of winning this war than Russia does.